Hey guys, so we are on day 8 math. There are a few pages for you to complete today. The first one is a math task, thousands and millions of fourth graders. Task says there are almost 40,000 fourth graders in Mississippi and almost 400,000 fourth graders in Texas. There are almost 4 million fourth graders in the United States. So this is not asking you a question, it's just giving you information. We write 4 million as, and it looks like this. How many times more fourth graders are there in Texas than in Mississippi? How many times more fourth graders are there in the United States than in Texas? Use the approximate populations listed above to solve. And so I wrote out already for you here. This is going to be Mississippi and Texas, comparing those two. So if you notice here, remember every time you go over a column to the left, you're timesing by 10. So depending on how many times you have to go over to the left and over, that's how many zeros you're adding. And that you're adding to your 10. So if you notice here, I lined them up and you can see that this is just off by one place value column. So this is 10,000s and this is 100,000s. So if I need another zero here so that they have the same amount, I'm just going up by 10. And I showed you down here, you're either going to times by 10, by 100, by 1,000, by 10,000, by 100,000, depending on how many zeros on top of that you would need. So the other part of the question says, how many times more fourth graders are there in the United States than in Texas? So this is the United States down here, and this is Texas. I didn't already have that written down, so let me write it here. So United States is going to be the 4 million. So that's 6 zeros. Okay, and then Texas is going to be 400,000. So that is only 5 zeros. Okay, and so now you're going to compare them. This is US, this is Texas. What place value, how many more place values are there to the left to have more does this have than this one? And so just see how many more zeros. If you notice here, it's only going up by one column. So does that mean you're multiplying by 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000? And so you're going to do the same thing down here, except for down here, you're comparing the US and Washington. So Washington only has 4,000. You notice Washington has 3 zeros. How many zeros do you see in the US? How many more zeros? You notice it has 1, 2, 3 more zeros. 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, or 100,000. Which one has 3 zeros that you would have to times by to get Washington to have the same amount as the US? I hope that makes sense. And then the next page is the partial products box that I've kind of been explaining at the end of each math day. I put a picture here because when I try to draw it out, I tend to run out of time. So here's just an example. I know most of you all know how to do this pretty well, but just in case, remember you're breaking apart each number and then you're planting them in the box. So you see you have 30 and you have 80. And so this going across is 30, going across is 3, going down is 80, going down is 2, and then you multiply each box and then add them all up. This right here is the place value strategy. We had did this before in the very beginning when we started doing multiplication 2-digit by 2-digit, but a lot of you preferred this one better. This is basically the same thing. You're breaking apart 33 into 30 plus 3 and breaking apart 82 into 80 plus 2, and then you're just multiplying them all. Same thing that you did here in the box. I think that the box is a little bit easier to read. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing here. Up here, they already have the box for you. Down here, you can either do standard algorithm or you can use the box as well. And then on this one, I put in here an example of a strategy you can use. You can count up from the small number to get up to the big number. You can draw a picture of taking away using base 10 blocks, and then you can